the HSP 5 to thrive. So there are just a few things that we need to do in order to thrive, whether our childhood was stressful or not. The first is to believe this trait is real. So I hope that the fact that you're here means that I'm convincing you that this is an innate trait that 20% of over 100 species are born with. It's a huge number of people. The research is extensive on the brain and the different areas of the brain that are more activated by having the trait, being born with it. It's really important that we have these people. They're the ones, is there anyone who say in California, when we've had the fires, who was the first person to be bothered by the smoke in your family or community? Right? You notice the smoke. I was that person. I'm like, I need a mask. And you walk out around, and we had a lot of smoke and in the Bay Area of California. And you'd walk around and you'd see all sorts of people everywhere on the streets not wearing masks at all. And then there'd be those few freaks with the big masks on. And those were probably the highly sensitive people because they really felt the impact. So I'm showing you that the trait is real. So you need to know, if you're highly sensitive, that you have the trait and to believe it's real. That is the first step. And it's an easy one to do. You can take Elaine Aron's self-test that she developed, and it's in the book, and it's also where Anthony mentioned, and on the website, hsperson.com. And once you believe it's real, then you're more likely to take care of yourself, and that's number 2, to design a life that's compatible with being highly sensitive. Now, for parents and partners of highly sensitive people, sometimes it's a pain in the behind to have to design a life that's compatible with somebody being highly sensitive, right? You just want to go. You just want to go out to the concert. You just want to get up at the last possible minute, get everybody in the car, drop them at school, and get to work. None of this deep processing, slow transitions business. And designing a life that's compatible with being highly sensitive involves some of those things I mentioned before, that kind of self-care and spending a little more time getting places so that you have time to do the deep processing. Now, I look back on my own childhood and I say that something that really bugged me was birthday parties. I hated them. I was that freak child who never wanted to go to the birthday party. And I'm dating myself, but in my era of childhood, the way we played musical chairs was, it wasn't just that you had to get a chair, that can be overstimulating anyway, but we had to sit on a balloon and pop it to keep our chair in musical chairs. And those popping balloons sent me over the edge. Luckily, I had a highly sensitive mom who got it and didn't force me to go to the parties. But I have to say that I probably sometimes forced my highly sensitive son to go to them, because it just seems like that's what makes childhood happy, right? So I look back on that and I thought, I've always thought of myself, before Elaine Aron told me I was highly sensitive, I always thought of myself as having something wrong with myself, that I couldn't just be out in the world doing everything I want to do. And in fact, I look back and I'm like, oh, I'm highly sensitive. My brain was more reactive to all of that stuff. And actually, I had a great instinct. It wasn't a place I wanted to be. I wanted to be out on the ranch building a fort in the creek, where my only rule was be home by dark. So that instinct was such a good thing. So I can reframe my childhood and my past in light of the fact I was highly sensitive. I can see some of those conflicts that I had as perfectly normal for somebody with a more reactive brain. The fourth 5 to thrive is to heal from past trauma. And I already mentioned that I feel pretty strongly that childhood in the Western world is traumatic for highly sensitive children. It's just our expectations for the fast life that we're living now is really hard. And very few children today, and especially in urban areas, get to grow up the way that I did. And I attended the first open classroom elementary school in Henrietta, Oklahoma. And it was a great thing because although there wasn't a lot of structure, I was allowed to go find a quiet corner to do my work. I just had so many advantages that I'm so grateful for, but not everyone gets it. And so we have to be able to heal from past trauma. And with children, we want to prevent it. So when something really traumatic happens, we want to talk about it and process it right then. And probably most people know that the best way to heal trauma is with a skilled therapist. So I don't want to send you out there on your own thinking I'm going to heal all those traumatic experiences on my own. That can be re-traumatizing, but a skilled therapist can be very helpful. The fifth of the 5 to thrive is to know other highly sensitive people if you're highly sensitive. And this makes sense because it's part of resiliency research. We know that people who are in some way different than their majority community that they're living in need to know others like them. So it's a very challenging life to feel unique, to feel terminally different, to never really feel like there's anyone like you. And so this is why it's so important for highly sensitive people to know other highly sensitive people so you don't feel like a freak all the time. And so it's important to find those communities. And that is the 5 to thrive for highly sensitive people. Thank you.